nyala, and they would be able to give you a heads up if anything is here, especially two boisterous young leopard cubs. Now, over the weekend we'll be having our trackers come back from their week time off, and I think we start ramping it up from tomorrow, but everyone's back on site from Sunday. And then we have trackers combing the bush. And to be honest, these guys are just absolutely fantastic at reading the bush. And I've been in the bush almost 20 years, and I think that some days I can read the bush, but it's absolutely nothing like these guys can. But anyway, Brent has got some butterflies to show you.
Well, we struggled to find leopards, we struggled to find elephants, so I took Dave's advice. He said, let's go do some butterflies in the Mawati. I said, what a splendid idea, David. There we go, look at them. It's a whole, what do you call a flock of African monarchs. Aren't they just exquisite butterflies? Now, I thought we'd get a few more species, but at the moment there just seems to be an incredible amount of monarchs about. Now, of course, they are quite noxious. That's why they fly around fluttering rather than speeding around like certain species. And that's because those bright aposematic colours keep the birds at bay. Now, they feed off quite a few different types of host plants as in the larval stage as a caterpillar, one of them being a milkweed and the other Waltharia, and they sequester hydrogen cyanide poisons from those two different plants. But look at that beautiful spotted body. They are really exquisite creatures. Oh, there we go, we've got another species. Yay! Another bright one, but that one has to fly around fast even though it's brightly coloured, because it's not poisonous, it's a joker. Here we go, pretty butterflies. What else have we got here? Yesterday we came down here for Jerry's birthday picnic during the day, and there was probably about 15 or 20 different species of butterfly. Today, not so many. Let's just move forward a little bit. There are some more butterflies out ahead in the sun. Now, Hannah is wondering what time of the year, there we go, do butterflies mate? Hannah, depending on the species, they can mate throughout the year. Ooh. On the ground, Dave. Far, you got him? Up. Okay, zoom, and down, and zoom. There we go, a blue pansy. There we go, I knew we'd get another species or two. And they don't sit often with their wings open like that for very long, so we're being spoilt a little. Normally they're off in a flash, the pansies. Keeping very still. Just keeping an eye out around us for other species as well. There seems to be a few more out in the light up ahead. What have we got? We got some more monarchs. You got him there. There we go. Well done, Dave. A broad banded grass yellow flapping about. Now, Kruger guy is wondering what they are feeding on. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the species of flower, so I'm actually going to take one with me. It looks like one of the part of the daisy family. So there we go. That's what they're feeding on. So we've got something quite interesting happening here. So we've got a daisy that, I'm not sure which one, but it looks to be part of the daisy family. And there we go, we've got a daisy that's there, and then we've got one that's finished. And now, that's even lost most of its seeds already. Let's have a quick look. There are still a few little seeds in there. There we go. Oh, this is going to be tough. So there we go. Got them, Dave. Oh. And you can see how they're specially designed to parachute. Oh, and they take off. That one actually took off into the air, the other one. So they're actually designed to parachute into the wind. And that's how this little daisy spreads its seed. Oh, there we go. Hey, there we go. So crew guy, I'm going to have to find out for you, so I'm going to keep that with me, and I'll have to get back on the books. That's the wonderful thing about doing what we do every day. You get to learn something. I'm pretty sure I have learnt this somewhere a long time ago. Ooh. Hi Dan. Dan's given me some wonderful collective nouns for butterflies. A swarm, a flutter. My favorite to be a kaleidoscope. Has to be my favorite. Now I saw something else scuttling on the ground here that you got to be quite careful of. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Can you see it, Dave? Running over there. No, I don't want to. Oh no, don't go. Did you get it? No, it disappeared. Well, it was a velvet ant, which is quite misleading because it is not an ant at all. It is a wasp. It is a flightless. Well, the female is flightless, and what actually happens is it's quite rude, the male velvet wasps or velvet ants. They'll fly around, you know, they're so cool, they've got wings, and they'll fly, and then they will spot a female. They'll fly down, grab her, fly up into the air, mate with her, and then when they're done, they just drop her and fly off. Very rude velvet ants. But it seems like Stef is found some tracks to show you. So hopefully they're of Shongile. We're both looking for her. We're both in the area around Twin Dams.
There definitely are Shongile's tracks. This is the track of a young leopard. Difficult to say at this stage whether it's Shongile's or Husana's track, to be honest with you, but it's got that sort of female feel to it. Now, how I'm telling that is by looking at the top of the plantar pad, which is the back pad of the track here. Males tend to have a very rounded pad. Females have quite a square pad, and as you can see, this particular track has pushed up a square piece of sand here. And so just looking at that, and I mean, I'm by no means the world's best tracker, but seeing the evidence there of that square, very straight-edged front to the planter's pad rather than a round edge to the planter's pad, I would say that this is the track of a young female leopard, and therefore hopefully Shongile. The sad news is that it heads off into Little Gowrie, which is a property adjacent to ours. We are part of a conglomerate of different areas here, and we can't go everywhere in these areas. We are reined in by boundaries, but the animals are not. And right here where we are now is one of those areas where we're on a periphery, on a boundary, and this is where Karula, the mother of these particular cubs, has been literally since they were born. She's really loved this particular area for whatever reason, and so they're just back in there, you know, back in there where they feel most comfortable. And the tracks head off on this game path here and head directly into Little Gowrie and down, further down the Mulwati, which is another of Karula's favorite haunts, is the riverbed that dominates this particular area. So while not good news for us today, it does, it does mean that she's still around and she's still healthy, and that's a good news. She doesn't seem to be followed by anything. If she had been hunted by anything, we would see evidence of those tracks on the back of these tracks. So it would be followed by a hyena, which is quite often the case with female leopard here, is that they will have hyena that trail them and try and steal their kills all the time. If she was pursued by some wild dogs or even by some lion, we'd see some evidence of that, and all of those signs are lacking at the moment. So we can draw the conclusion that she is pretty healthy, and somewhere in that direction right there, that's where we predict that she is going to be. And that's that, I suppose, for now. So a nice long walk all the way down here for that little bit of information, which is not too much of a problem. It's actually been a lovely afternoon. It started off blisteringly hot, way deep into the 90s degrees Fahrenheit, and probably has cooled off now to somewhere in the, I don't know, what do you feel like, Jean? Somewhere in the 70s? So I suppose by Northern Hemisphere standards, pretty hot still, but for us desert creatures out here, pretty tolerable, I must be honest. A very nice breeze coming out here, and we're just having a nice time. This is one tree I've never walked under. Now, you know, we've been walking around here with me for the last couple of years almost going on to 2 years now, and I like really big trees. Now this you see from the road so often, but I've never walked underneath this tree. This is a massive Balanites tree, or a torchwood, African torchwood, and just a giant of a one. Now this is easily about as high as what they get, except for one thing. This is one of the thickest ones that I've ever seen here at Djuma. I don't know if it's the biggest Balanites that occurs here. I'd like to say it's one of the biggest ones, but a really massive tree. And quite an endangered tree. Outside of the reserve, these trees are quite often harvested to death, for lack of a better word. Their bark is cut off in sections and is used as an emetic, something that allows or induces vomiting, but is also used as a wash, a very refreshing wash. So the bark is cut into strips and boiled up in water, and it makes this quite a refreshing wash. And quite often people will ring bark this tree to get the bark and sell it as a commodity, and that then kills these trees off. Oh, we've apparently got a leopard behind us. Okay, so the tracks of that leopard was a little bit fresher than we thought they were. Come stand up over here. No wonder she hadn't been hunted by anything. She was watching us. So there's Brent over there. And I'm sure you're going to be going over to Brent pretty soon. That's about 100 yards away from us over now, looking at that leopard. Alright, and that's that. That's how you find leopard. Find a track, call it in, other people come find it. Alright, it's nice. So now, what effect are we having on this particular leopard at this point? Not much, but I think what we're going to do, let's link off to Jamie quickly and go and see what she's up to, and then I'm sure as soon as Brent's figured out his signal issues, you'll be going through to him.
It has just been a true leopard-filled day today. Wow, that was very Brent-like. And we are rapidly approaching our special surprise. Now I'm going quite quickly because apparently this particular surprise just went for a swim and is busy doing what it does best. It will all make sense in a moment. Here we go. Let us go and see what our little creature is up to. Where is he now? Now, for those of you that are with us, please be patient with the questions that you ask. It's not that we're ignoring you, and it's not that I'm ignoring you, but sometimes our communications can be a little bit patchy in this area. Where's this little creature? Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Right, where is he? Oh, there he is. Hello, you. Did you go for a swim earlier? Yes. Thanks, Mike. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yes, have you got muddy feet now? He's stopping to have a jolly good lick. So this is Vhutomi, and it is Thandi's 8th leopard of the day. That's not bad. I don't think I've ever had a day where I've seen 8 different leopards in a 12-hour period. So it has been a truly leopard-filled day. Leopard luck. Thandi, you have to stay. You may never leave now, because you clearly bring us some kind of fortune. So this is little Vutomi, the son of Nkanyeni, and at the moment he apparently is doing what Vutomi does best, which is chelonian hunting. Now, we've seen Hosana do it before. Hello, gorgeous boy. We've seen Hosana do it before, where he's climbed into the water holes in search of terrapins. Vhutomi, in fact, every single time I've seen him or heard about him being seen in the last few weeks, he's been eating some kind of shelled creature. When I first saw him, the very first day I saw him, he was eating a tortoise, and since then I've heard multiple reports of him hunting terrapins. And it's easy. And I think for the first time in his life, he's experiencing some tough times. His mum Nkanyeni has recently come back into estrus and has been seen mating with the dominant male in this area, Quarantine. And I'm not sure where she is. She might be out hunting, but it is actually due for her to start mating with Quarantine again, if her estrus cycles have normalized. So she could be off with another male, not with Quarantine, she could be off mating with any male at this point, which might explain his desperate need for hunting shelled creatures. Hello, little boy. Little Vhutomi, whose face, I don't think he's actually sad, but I think he's just got quite a sad-looking leopard face. Big innocent eyes. Vhutomi, meaning life. So there you go, you've met Thandi, the loved one. Vutomi, life, named because he disappeared apparently for quite an extended period of time, and everybody thought that he had died. And it was a really truly lovely surprise when he re-emerged once again. His sister unfortunately did not make it, so we had a chance to see the two of them together when they were a little bit younger. Unfortunately, true to leopard statistics, his sister just didn't quite survive. We don't know what killed her. We will never know. But there's so many threats out here for these young leopard cubs. Luckily, now at, 15 months of age, he's now at the point where his survival rate will definitely have increased. But it's still tough being a young male leopard, searching for your territory, a place to establish yourself. Look how muddy he is. Right up to his chest. Oh, it's been an exhausting day. All that swimming training. And really, like any cat, he's not relishing the feel of dirt all over his fur. Time to have a jolly good bath. I just want to check quickly, and I apologize for this, but I'm not sure that I have any way of doing it other than just straight up doing it, which is to ask Kirsty if we have comms. And Kirsty read my mind. Comms test, yes, thanks Kirst, all good here. Perfect comms. Susan? Sorry, let me just double check that I've got this right. You want to know if anybody's ever seen a fishing leopard? Yes. I assume you mean leopards fishing in dams for fish. Yes, absolutely they do that. We've often spoken about the opportunism of leopards, and in particular, it was noticeable during our drought, when the water holes started to really dry up and turn into mud, and the catfish were left stranded. Catfish, or as we call them in South Africa, barbel. And although I don't think we had a live sighting of leopard hunting catfish during that time, lots and lots of photographs started emerging of leopards going in after the catfish themselves. So leopards do occasionally fish, usually really only where you've got a shrinking water hole and it's slightly easier for them. And of course you get things like the Asian fishing cat that actually not here. I would have thought that was relatively self-explanatory, but just to clarify, the Asian fishing cat does not occur in South Africa. But the Asian fishing cat that can actually fully submerge itself in order to go fishing. So that's something very, very cool that I would love to see. All cats can swim, they just don't necessarily like to. But it seems as though Hosanna and Vutomi both showing a tendency to try and catch fish. Okay, while he's sleepy, let's have a look at the frantic sounds coming from the tree over there. It's our weavers all gathered together, and it seems as though Cheetah Plains is the place to be if you're a weaver bird, whether you're a southern masked or a village weaver. This is the perfect spot. Particularly precariously dangled over water holes. It just means a little bit of increased safety for their nesting sites. So you can see some of them in the initial stages. Look there a little bit on the right. There's just the beginning of the ring of a weaver's nest. And then there's one that's got slightly more to it. Here we go. Slightly more happening around it. Then one that's obviously been recently completed. And then the older brown ones that have been well established and where the grass has died. Oh, that lucky weaver I think has got a partner already. The sort of medium-aged one. I just saw a female fly in there. That one. Perfect. Well done, Craig. Thank you for knowing what I meant. It was quite an achievement. That's exactly the one that I meant. The one that's got a guarri bush sticking out of it. Not a guarri bush, sorry. The leaf of the leadwood sticking out of it. Such an astounding design. It always boggles my brain that they managed to build these constructions and create this very solid, very supportive structure out of grass. Weaving grass. I wouldn't have the first clue where to begin, and it's all based entirely on instinct. They don't always get it right, and often the female rejects the male's attempts. Look at that guy building his little ring. He's just doing the starting point, just up, it's sort of towards the top of the screen there. There we go, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right. There we go. There, he's still a little bit further up. Oh, he just flew off. There, that's the little ring. Amazing, isn't it? To just see the way in which they start to grow, or will start to build their nest with just a ring, and then they slowly expand on that. Liz, you say, isn't this the pan with the hippo in it? I believe it did have a hippo at one point, and I just heard a sound that sounded a little bit like a hippopotamus blowing out air, like it had just come up for a breath. So I'm not sure if there is a hippo in it today, but yes, there was a hippo at some point. So this is Buff Pan. To the east of us lies Kruger, to the north in Coral. There's also, of course, hippo at the Djuma Dam of Cheetah Plains. So noisy. Very good question as well from Lionheart, because building your nest above the water comes with certain disadvantages, of course, because whilst it might be more difficult for a predator to get in there, it is just as tricky or there's just an equal possibility of a young weaver falling out of their nests. Lionheart, you want to know how many of them fall out of the nests? I'm not 100% sure. I would say probably the most fatalities will occur as the weaver chicks start to fledge, because then of course they have to learn to fly, and to do that they've got to go outside of the safety of the nest. Generally, I think baby birds are quite good at staying inside their nests until that point. However, if there's a big storm, you can imagine the wind blowing and the nest rocking. I'm going to go forward fractionally so that we can see him. Let's try not to drive into the dam. Here we go. Stalking slowly but surely forward. I think he's spotted another terrapin he wants. Look at him. You can see the intensity of his focus. I hope he knows how to handle crocodiles, because you never know. He's after another one. I can't see what he's after. There, I can. I just saw the head bob down on the left-hand part of the screen. It was just a little bit up from there, Craig. It was just around there. I think that's what he was looking at. And he's waiting for it to get closer to the surface. I definitely heard a hippo, by the way. So there is still one in this area. He's so beautiful. Waiting patiently for the terrapin to get a bit closer. The reason I said I hope he knows about crocodiles is, of course, as we have stressed many times recently, potentially repeatedly, the fact that with waterholes in Africa, you never know when you could run the risk of encountering a crocodile, and a waterhole that doesn't have a crocodile one day could just as easily have one the next day. And there's lots of water in this pan. It would be the perfect place for a croc to turn up. So hopefully he knows to be careful of those sorts of dangers. He is a child of the drought. Oh, he's got one. Oh, and he's got it. Amazing. So he's obviously really practiced this technique. This is something he has got down. And it just goes to show how incredibly opportunistic and clever these leopards can be. And you do get leopards that specialize in certain types of prey. Sorry everybody, he's just going to pass away from where we can see him. So I'm just going to wait. I'm sorry Craig, you and Thandi might have to do some contorting here for now. That was awesome. It was so quick. He's obviously, that is not the first time he's done that. No, I can't do this. I'm going to have to turn around. Sorry, everybody. You just have to bear with me. Hold on. Mike's very kindly shifting for us. How cool was that? You can see it's something he's got used to. Definitely much more practice than Hosanna. And there he goes with his prize. That is such an amazing shot. Oh, I wish I had a camera with me. Look at that. Dripping with mud in the sun. His prize in hand, tail curled. It doesn't get more beautiful than this. Little boy. You're very proud of yourself. Well done. That was a truly, truly stunning shot. Okay, little monkey. You go past and then I'll turn around. I'm just going to let him go past behind our vehicle. And then I shall shift around. There we go. How cool was that? That was such an extraordinary shot. I hope you got screenshots to share with me afterwards, because I don't have a camera with me, and that was one of the most beautiful images I've seen in a long time. He's just gone to lie in this very thick grass here. Oh no, there he is. He's up now. I'm just going to keep some distance. He wants space. I can see it in his body language. He wants a bit of space to eat his kill. And it's not quite the same kettle of fish as with Hosanna and Shungile. He wants us to keep our distance a little bit. You can just see it in his body language. The way he's glancing at us. Just kind of trying to say to us, hey guys, you're making me a bit nervous. Not nervous, we're not making him nervous, but we will if we push too hard. So I'm just going to let him get a little way ahead. I just don't want to lose him in this long, long grass. Okay, we're going to go round so that we can give him space, but still view him from a distance. But I can just see, and I noticed it with Vhutomi the last time as well, that he has quite a much larger personal space boundary than Hosanna and Shungile. Where are you, little monkey? Now I can't see you at all. Oof. This could be interesting. I can't see anything. This grass is so long. I think he's just here. Unless that's him. I think Mike's seen him a bit further ahead. Now unfortunately he's going straight into Nkuhuma. And I think I'm about to hit the boundary. So it depends very much on where he decides to stop and enjoy his terrapin. Just check that he hasn't fooled us both. I'm going very, very slowly. As I said, he's not 100% comfortable with vehicles. We're not as comfortable as Hosanna and Shungile. This is leopard disappearing territory. Mike, I don't think he can still see him either. I think he's gone right through to the boundary. We've still got a little way to go. I'm just going to let Mike go ahead of me rather than both of us charging at the same time, since we can't see where he is. If we don't have any success in the next few minutes, in the next few seconds, I'm going to leave him. Just because I don't want to go bashing around in the grasses after him. Not ideal with a young leopard. And don't need to give him a reason to be afraid of us. Mister, where did you go? He's gone to eat his terrapin. And he wants to go to a soft... No. You know what? We had a stunning sighting with him. We had a really, really amazing time spent with little Vutomi. I'm going to, unless he emerges now, I'm not going to follow him any further in here. It's a losing battle that we're challenging ourselves to. I don't see any sign of him in the thick grass off to my right. Just sitting for a second. I'm going to sit patiently, just see whether or not a flick of the white tail gives him away. But for now, much like Vutomi, Stef is up to mischief. Let's go and find out why he's digging.
I'm digging because this is the termite mound of a turreted termite, or a termite whose soldier does not have a snout with mandibles on it, but who's got a turret with a spout that can spray out acid and other noxious chemicals. And this is what their termite mounds look like. They're very conspicuous, and they also grow in areas with a lot of water. These particular termites are basically indicators that there's a lot of groundwater underneath where they are. Hence, they're not very common in the Kruger National Park. We don't see a lot of these particular species of termites in the Kruger National Park, and they're very common on top of the plateau and close to where Johannesburg and Pretoria is, this country's capital. And it's just interesting to see, but I'm dying to try and show you one, but for the life of me, and no matter how much I'm trying to dig, they don't want to come out and play today. But it does give me a chance to make a statement here that I think we all need to take sort of cognizance of if it hasn't been done by my colleagues already. So for those of you who take who mark these types of things on calendars, mark today out as something quite exceptional. Today we've seen 8 different leopard on safari. So between this morning's 3-hour drive, or the sunrise safari, and hopefully Brent can show you this young Shongile that we were just with now on foot. But we've seen 8 different leopard today. I think that must be a record, at least in my memory. You might find that it's happened before, in the past, before we've started here, but definitely in recent history, I don't think we've seen more than 8 different leopard in any one particular drive ever. But please do, if it has happened in the past and you do keep a record of these things, please pass it on and let me know when was the last time we saw 8 different leopard, or even somewhere close to that, 6 different leopard or 5 different leopard in a drive. And let's see what these dates, what time of year it was, when was it, summer, winter, was it around the same time of year? It'd be very interesting to know. And of course you can, as always, send through those comments to the hashtag Safari Live or to questions@WildEarthTV as an email address, and we'll share it with everybody. But still, these termites are not wanting to come out and play, which is a little bit, I'm not going to go and say it's distressing, it's not really, but I'm just going to have to find another termite mound to show you. But the turreted termite, or the snouted termite as it's sometimes called, mainly because they've got a head that, the soldiers have got a head that looks like a cone, and from the front comes a spout, like the front of I suppose a fire engine, and from there they can spray acid and other noxious toxins at invaders, particularly ants and wasps, which are the invaders of termite colonies. I suppose particular ants in this area invade termite colonies a lot, and they'd use that gun to spray at them. But why I'm walking down this game path is because I'm actually heading towards that particular termite mound. So something on a vastly different scale than that turreted termite or the snouted termite that we were just with. And it's because I've never been to this particular termite mound before. And it just looks nice. It looks like I want to stand on it and see what's around it and what's growing on it. We are on a game path here, and this particular game path is quite interesting in that it goes from, well, it joins, I would imagine, if I carried on with this game path, I'd come out at Treehouse Dam. So it joins twin dams to Treehouse Dam, and is probably the only path to do that, and bypasses this particular termite mound, one I've never visited before. Now, seeing a hole like that that's inside that termite mound, probably until about a week ago or so, wouldn't have made me too nervous. But Monday, a week ago, 2 weeks ago now in actual fact, we were chased by a warthog out of a termite mound like that, and Jandre in actual fact had to put on his best, I don't quite know what he did, but he went into massive sprint with backpack on to get out of the way. And then last Monday we were chased by a mother warthog with 3 babies during the TV show as well. So I'm a bit nervous just approaching things like this because they tend to come to life. So what I don't want to do is walk right up to the entrance. So I am going to walk around, and then I'm going to scare whatever in there out straight at you, and of course straight at Jandre. I'm going to try and not do that. But there's nothing in here now. There's definitely something living in it. There's fresh tracks going in and out. Looks like a warthog. Most of the warthogs at the moment, the female warthogs, have just started to let their young piglets out. And I haven't been here for a couple of days, so I'm not quite sure if you've seen the young warthogs, but their little piglets are just so cute. They're all over the place at the moment. These tiny little warthogs coming out after having spent a few weeks in the den. Be careful there. You're walking very close to these ones. So I hear now that you've seen some cute ones with Tristan the other day. Oh. And I'll tell you, this thing is peppered with warthog. Ow, 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 ow. No, it's a blind tunnel, so don't worry too much. I hear what you saw too with Tristan the other day. They were quite cute. Oh no, they're amazingly cute. I mean, they're keeping me very busy at my house in Hoedspruit. They're coming to visit every day. I have a marula tree that is dropping literally just dozens of kilograms of fruit on the floor, and every animal in the neighborhood is coming to eat them, including all the little baby piglets who walk around with big mouthfuls. It looks like almost gum, with their cheeks swollen out, chewing these marula fruits. It's just something phenomenal. Really nice to see. Oh, what a nice termite mound. Absolutely peppered with holes, all probably from the same thing. You find that this termite mound has probably been excavated over the last, I don't know, couple of years, and tunnels will collapse, and as they get, as the animals inside of them will excavate them deeper, shafts will collapse and they'll open up new chambers. But generally speaking, what they're trying to get towards the middle is they're getting towards the fungus chamber in the middle of these particular termite mounds, which is hollow. Now, Bree, you just wanted to know how far the tunnels of a termite mound extend underground. I'm hoping I can actually show that to you. Oh, sorry, Ree. Excuse me, Ree. Today, I don't know what's wrong with me today, Ree. I'm not hearing anybody's name, so please excuse me. But come with me over here. Let's stand on top of the termite mound. It gives me the best chance of showing you how far a termite mound's reach, for lack of a better word, extends for. There are lots of holes here. You're welcome to bypass me up on this side of the termite mound, and I'll show you where this is. So we're not on a particularly big termite mound here, although I would say that this termite mound is fairly old. And I say that because this easily 60-year-old knobthorn is growing on top of this termite mound. So this termite mound has been here for at least 60 years, probably a lot longer than that. So it's been here for a bit. And if you have a look around over here, you'll see that the grass and the bushes really start about 20 yards or so away from where I am. I'm going to walk there now and show you where it is. So right up to about here, no or very few woody species of trees would be able to germinate and make it past the termites harvesting them. But the tunnels of these termites for this particular termite colony extend far beyond that, and will extend to probably about here. Now, I've still got termite excavations here, and I'm going to prove it to you by bringing you some of their sand. There's some termite mud, basically, from where they've had their tunnels. And I'm going to walk until where I see the end of that tunnel. So Jean-Andre, you just let me know when I'm going to run out of voice. So we're now probably 30 or 40 yards. I've still got termite turrets. Here we go, just to prove it to you. There's some termite mud there in my hand. And as you can see, no other termites around here. Some more here. Some more here. Okay, I've run out of that now. None here. Here's the last ones. So I'm easily about 40 to 50 yards from you right now, and that is the circumference of where the termites in that particular mound have their reach until. Isn't that amazing? You're looking at a couple of million termites per termite colony, all of them doing one thing: gathering organic matter, gathering plant material, bringing it to where you're standing right now, and farming fungus on it, and then eating that fungus. And that termite mound that you've got there now is just massive air conditioning unit. It basically collects all the hot air in this termite mound and channels it up in the center of it, where you're looking right now, coming out of those tunnels there. And that creates a convection current that sucks in air from those tunnels where I've been walking back there. Creates quite a powerful convection current. And by wetting and drying tunnels inside this termite mound, and by closing and opening chambers and tunnels, they control humidity and temperature very, very precisely. And this is all done by an organism that doesn't really even have a brain. It's just got a dense collection of nerves sitting in the top of its head. Isn't that just amazing? But that is about as far a reach as you can get. And it is actually quite astounding there. Amazing. Alright, let's carry on with our game path and see what else we can see. And this isn't even a very big termite mound. This is a pretty average termite mound. Now, in areas where the grass grows a lot quicker, or there's a lot more organic material, the termite mounds can actually grow a lot closer together. But in this particular area, you get giant termite colonies, giant, the biggest I've ever seen. And you also get not that faster growth of organic material. We lie quite far south, about 22 degrees south, and because of that, we have just one growing season and then quite a slow growing season at that, because it's only a couple of months. And so the big termite colonies are far apart. You're looking at, there's the next one down there, and that is probably about 100 or so yards away from the one that I was with now. And that's about the space that they are here. All right, I think on that note, why don't we go over to Jamie and find out what she's been up to over the last couple of minutes.
I have arrived at the great open area of Cheetah Plains in order to see the sunset, was my original idea. However, I have become completely distracted by the sounds of absolutely furious elephants trumpeting off to the north of me. And this is almost the exact spot where Brent had them chasing the Birmingham boys 2 nights ago. Makes me wonder if there isn't a Birmingham boy somewhere in this vicinity, or is it the fault of this gentleman over here? It didn't sound like elephant on elephant, it sounded like elephant against predator. But perhaps this little nonsense was causing trouble. Not little nonsense, big nonsense. He's going straight south, unfortunately outside of our traverse area, but let's just have a quick look at him. See if he's secreting. He might have had an argument with another male. It is a bull elephant, not a huge bull elephant, but certainly showing signs. No, it's not. I thought for a second it was that elephant with the bell in his ear. wonder what that trumpeting was all about. They've gone quiet now, and he is marching, very much giving the impression of a man on a mission. Or perhaps a man retreating, or an elephant retreating with his tail between his legs. So maybe it was elephant on elephant. It didn't sound like it though. I'm going to do a loop in a second. Let's just have one last look at him before he disappears. Oh. Here's a young elephant. No, that's not a young elephant. No, it is a young elephant. It could either have been a young elephant or a termite mound. It is in fact a young elephant. It's got flappy ears. Therefore, not a termite mound. Okay, so perhaps it was elephant on elephant. Perhaps it was a male getting a little bit too eager with females. That might have been what caused it. Generally what upsets elephants is other elephants. That's what makes them cross. And particularly for a breeding herd, the presence... Oh, look at that very cool ear that elephant has. Massive slit in it. An elephant in estrus is also not a quiet creature. She often announces her estrus cycle with an estrus walk, lots of trumpeting and vocalizations. There is a little one there. Look at the little calf. Hi, baby. You are not tall enough to be seen over the grass. The hormonal situation occurring, and that's the reason for the upset elephants. So perhaps today, not chasing Birmingham boys across the open area. It's a young male, the one with the very easily identifiable slit in his ear. And there we go. Hey, little one. It's quite a tiny little baby. Might also explain a lot of the sound effects that were being displayed. A female with a young baby might be quite protective. How cute it is. No, little one, you are not going to have any luck there. That is a boy. Look at it resting its trunk on his back. Sweet. Okay. What a stunning evening it is. We're going to sit and watch our elephants disappear to the south of us. In the meantime, Brent has got a really lovely view of the setting sun.
Yes, it is indeed a lovely view of the setting sun through the boughs of a marula tree. Now, I've come to check where the Nkuhuma Pride were, and, oh dearie, dearie me, I've got some news for you. So, they are probably about 60 meters from us. Unfortunately, we can't hear anything, and, sorry, we can't see anything. I can hear stuff going on. So, quickly, Connor was trying to decide whether he could come past us or not. And we are live. Hi, Connor. We are live. Bye, Connor. He looked very confused. All these hand signals. And I was like, what is he on about? Just come past, man. But, so the lions are about 60 meters from us. Connor. And I've got some very interesting news. So they have just killed a spotted hyena. Unfortunately, we cannot go there. And they are now lying up next to the carcass of the hyena. So that's the news from the Nkuhumas, but they are still, unfortunately, just out of our grasp. So we're going to head back towards the north and see if we can find what's got them on the run. The Matimba males heard from Wrexham that there were some tracks of a male lion heading towards Sydney's from inside Buffalo's Hook. So maybe those male lions will stride onto the open plains at Sydney's waterhole. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask us any questions on Twitter. Now, I did hear a bird that I'm missing for my February list making an incredible racket in this area. not a very nice sounding bird. Let's see if we can find quick. Go on, but not go away. Now, quite often when they're calling like that, they sit quite prominently. There he is. As I said, he normally sits high and conspicuous when calling. You got him there. Oh, back. There it is. The Swainson Spurfowl. Let's see if it gives us another call. So early morning, late evening, the Spurfowl like to sit up high, and basically what they're doing is advertising. So advertising to other Spurfowl that this is their spot, or advertising to any potential lady friends around that he is handsome, he is hot, and he is single. Dave thinks that's funny. I can hear Dave giggling away. Now, if you were a lady Swainson Spurfowl, there's no ways you would resist him. I mean, that beautiful singing voice, those gorgeous looks. I mean, the red, wrinkly skin around the eyes and neck. Stunning. Let's just get that one brown drab feather in place. There we go. Now you're sharp. No, not quite ready yet. Now, okay, well, let's leave the Swainsons to try find a friend. And we do have a little bit of an update. So we said we were going to look for elephants, butterflies and leopards. So we succeeded on two fronts. We did actually find Shongile. Unfortunately, she was in a spot where we had zero signal. So she was crossing to the south into Little Gowrie, but I'm hoping she's going to be back around that area of Twin Dams come tomorrow morn. So I'm going to head up now towards Sydney's waterhole. And there might be a male lion there. And we're back on the corrugations. Let's try find a less corrugated spot. There we go. That's a bit better. But it is a stunning evening. But while we go look for the hope of a male lion, let's see what Jamie finds on her long drive back to the north.
A long but beautiful drive back to the north. It is a truly, truly spectacular evening. It's cooled down nicely. This part of the reserve is beautifully green still. They've definitely had far more. I mean, you look at Buff Pan and you can see they've had far more rain than us. But the grasses are still lush and green. So it really is spectacular. And going home on a high after that leopard sighting, I can't wait to get back and see all of your screenshots, because for me, I often don't carry a camera just because I find if I do, I get lost in playing with settings and stuff. I'm not good enough yet with a proper camera to really just take a picture on muscle memory alone. So I find myself concentrating on fiddling with it, and then I lose out on the sighting itself. I'm not in it anymore. I'm not invested in it. So I really enjoy experiencing those moments, which is why your screenshots, of course, come in so handy, because they give us a way of keeping track of those days when we don't take photos. And they've provided us, of course, they provide an amazing record of all sorts of things, but they also provide us, personally, with a lovely trail of memories to look back on. Moments where we can look back and see the cubs when they were little, and maybe one day we'll look back on that screenshot of Vutomi when he's big and established somewhere. Speaking of size, I'm just having a discussion now, and Thandi's seen Hosanna and Vutomi in one day. Hosanna is definitely bigger. I disagree with Brent. Brent says no, Vutomi's bigger. I don't think so. I think Hosana's bigger. Oh, look, it's not a huge difference. It's not a massive size difference, but I think if you put the two of them next together, it would be noticeable. Vutomi's only just a little bit bigger than Shungile. So it just goes to show what kind of a role genetics plays in the size and the growth rates of certain leopards. And they're just like human beings, I guess. They'll go through growth spurts at different times. And teenagers grow at different times. Makes total sense that leopards would as well. And I still think, despite being 3 or so months older, he's smaller. Hosana's just got such a big thick neck and such powerful shoulders already. Yeah, let's go past 3 in a row pan. Let's see if something's coming for a drink. All of the clouds from earlier have completely gone away. They keep bringing us false hope of rain and then disappearing. It's quite cruel in a way. It feels a little bit like last year again. There we go, 3 in a row pan. Pan 1. Nothing here. There is something here. There's some black Smith Lapwings on the opposite side. Come on, Quarantine. Make a surprise 9th leopard sighting. Oh, good. I'm glad that you all agree with me on the subject of Hosana. Oh, look at a little one. Just down a little bit, Craig. Hello. Little baby Lapwing. Hi. I had to have a good chuckle during that school drive. Generally, we try and avoid, without first clearing it with the teachers, we try and avoid showing kills or animals mating until we've spoken to them first and they've had a time to prep the kids. Of course, we immediately had the crocodile killer terrapin and the blacksmith lapwings mating all in one go. Oh, look at you. Oh, you are so cute. Tiny weeny thing. Total different coloration from the adults. Much more cryptically coloured. None of that black and white obvious stuff. Oh, look at you dashing around. That's why the parents are sounding so protective. So we've had baby 3-banded plovers with Brent, now baby blacksmith lapwings. Or just one that I can see. Pop, little bobblehead. You're ridiculous looking. Oh, it's either Sue or Drew says, "Ah, it's Dinky." What a perfect description. That's exactly what it is. Sue with an S? I think I got that right. Either way. Stuart! Not Sue. Sorry, Stuart. Stu, you say it looks dinky. I agree. A dinky little blacksmith lapwing baby. Already feeding off seeds because, of course, like all ground birds, it hatches precocial rather than altricial. So it hatches highly developed and ready to face the world head on rather than trying to remain in a nest. As soon as they hatch, they've got to be ready to go. And I don't think this one's more than a few days old. His massive head. Just like those bronze-wing coursers, also look like little bobbleheads. And the lapwing's constantly contact calling to it, making sure that it doesn't go wandering off. You can imagine that that would be quite easy to lose. You think it's tricky keeping track of a child in a department store, or having such a tiny little one that's basically sand-coloured. So sweet. There you go. It just goes to show. Sometimes you should stop and have a look at what's around you, even if it's not immediately obvious, because it might just be a tiny, tiny, tiny little lapwing. Wonderful. Thank you, lapwings. Oh wow, there's something amazing poking its head out over the horizon. Let's go and have a look at Stef's view.
I have no doubt that Jamie was talking about my bald head and not about the moon that is shining up over the horizon, but it is quite a funny sight. So nevertheless, I think it is quite funny for those of you who are taking screenshots of the rounded shape of both of our heads at the moment. Please send me some so that I can laugh with you. But anyway, I just thought that we'd say goodbye. We've come to the end of the bushwalk part of the sunset safari. Once again, it's just been so epic to spend some time with you, and on the note of a almost full moon, we're just going to bid you farewell. So we'll see you again for the sunrise bushwalk, and from myself, you're over to Brent. Bye bye.
Well, welcome back. I've decided we're going to go check the old Albury's Road hyena den just for fun. Hopefully something's there. Where is the old Albury's Road hyena den? Did we go past the road? No. Did we, Dave? Are you sure?
I'm not sure.
I think we might have. I think it is, as I turned around to say welcome back, we went past the entrance to the old hyena den. We might have to turn around. Or was it? No, we're going to have to turn around. Now, I wonder which clan that hyena came from. Was it from the west or from the east? Sorry, Jamie, you copy about Shongile? Okay, copy, thanks. So I was just letting Jamie know where Shongile was, where there was no signal. She might have better luck in Wendy, you never know. But she's still quite far away. So I can't believe we missed the turn off. I was talking too much. And it is a beautiful evening. The wind's quite gusty this evening. Let's see, now that road should be, that track should be around here. Hello, Mary in Whitefish Bay. Mary would like to know what determines hyena hierarchy, and can it ever change? No, unfortunately it can't. The only one that can really change their social standing are the males when they migrate through to a different clan. They might be able to jump a two, but still they're going to be below the lowest ranked female. So, there we go. So they unfortunately not. Their social standing is from birth. Now the only time you can get a bit of an upset could be between the alpha female's daughters. There can be a bit of a battle between them. But unfortunately for most hyenas, you're stuck in your station for your whole life, and if you're a Gwen, that's not where you want to be. Shame, poor Gwen. She gets beaten up by everyone. Okie dokie. Now, let's have a look if there's any signs of movement around here. I think the only thing I can see that's been using this is a lizard. You can see his tail drag mark there. So this den is not active. Sosa Tato. An interesting one. Not one I've heard before. Sofa Tato. Okay. Sofa Tato would like to know how is there a way to identify the different individual hyenas? There is, and sometimes it can be quite difficult because you only get fleeting glimpses. You need to go back and look at photographs of them. But like all animals, their spots are unique. Also, any scars, tattered ears, and all sorts of different stuff like that. So there's lots of different ways to identify them. But generally from their individual spots. Okay, so nothing happening at the Aubrey's hyena den. Where to next? Where to next? Dave, you choose. Left or right when we get to the road?
All right.
So,
Right.
Dave says right. Oh dear. I would have gone left, but Dave, you said right. Let's go right. So be it. Now, hopefully the Nkuhumas come back in the morning. And Karula is unsuccessful in hunting in the south and comes back to the north. Now, of course, after tomorrow's morning safari, we'll be able to tell you a little bit more on the sunset safari about what's going to be happening with Shadow going forward. As I said, it's on Arathusa. It's the Arathusa guides who will make that call. So as soon as we know, we shall let you know. Now let's see if we can find some birds in the dusk evening to add to our February list to keep Tristan in the dust. There's a splendid temperature at the moment. Not too hot, not too cold. Now, there's been sign of elephants everywhere, but not an elephant in sight. Well, I think Jamie's had all the luck, Ellies and Leopards today. And Dave and I have been looking at grass and trees. The odd bird, footprints. Hello, Michael. Michael would like to know, what time do we arise in the morning and what time do we go to bed? Well, Michael, it depends. At the moment, we are waking up at... What time are we waking up? Before we leave, yeah. We'll wake up at about 20 past 4 and then come through to the DRC for a cup of coffee at about 4:30, and then we're on the vehicles from 5. But in the height of summer, so November, December, January, we're waking up at 3:40 in the morning to be on the vehicles by 4:30. It all depends on the time of the year. As the year changes and the sunrise and sunset times change, we change with them. But normally I would say go to bed probably 9:30ish most nights. Dave, he stays up a bit later than me. He's younger. Yeah, normally between 9 and 9:30 everyone's winding down, except for Dave. No, I'm joking. You know. When you got to be up that early in the morning, you don't really stay up too late at any time. Now, I think we're going to stop and have a look at the moon shortly. I know you saw it with Stef, but I think, have we got a little longer lens on this one?
I would say.
Dave says we've got a better zoom on this one than the bushwalk camera. So let's have a look. full moon tonight or tomorrow? And I think it does look like it's tomorrow. There we go. Zoom, Dave, zoom, faster, Dave, quickly, zoom, Dave, quickly, focus, Dave. There we go. Take your time, Dave. Savannah says, apparently there's an eclipse and a comet tonight. I don't know if we're going to be able to see the eclipse from here, or the comet. So you must realize that from northern and southern hemisphere, quite often the same skies are not visible. Here we go. Isn't that amazing? Beautiful. That impact crater on the top right I always find fascinating. Well, Preet is wondering, does the light of the full moon increase hunting activity? It's actually the worst time for the predators, that nocturnal predators, for leopards and lions. The light of the full moon enables the impalas and buffaloes to have better eyesight, so it's actually one of the worst times for them to hunt. They prefer dark nights, and even better if it's dark, windy and stormy. Then that is the best time for the predators to hunt. Okay, so I'm going to head down towards Quarantine and see what's happening there. Quite often at this time of the day you get a nice diverse group of ungulates that come out onto the open area, Vutomi, zebra, impala, nyala, and as it gets darker, as they move to an area where they feel a little safer. It seems like Jamie's got all the luck, so she's got Thandi up a tree.
Thandi in a tree, and it's all been go, go, go. Finally, we have a chance to see Thandi's lovely face. Hello, girl. You've swapped your position around, facing the opposite direction now, but still feet dangling and not showing any signs of shifting around. There's that face that I personally see quite strongly in Shungile. And sometimes when Shungile looks at us, she just looks so similar to Thandi. Oh, we might have timed this really well. She looks as though she's up. Unfortunately, she's looking in the wrong direction. Thandi, come this way, girl. Beautifully posed. So similar and yet different to her sister. I know that Brent has been discussing hunting during the full moon. I was just wondering whether or not predators have their noses out of joint when it is full moon, because of course it becomes slightly more difficult for them. But then leopards hunt during the day as well, so there's no reason why a full moon should totally disadvantage them. It just makes life ever so slightly more difficult. And the wind is still blowing, which of course will work in her favour as she heads off into the night. And there's no rest for weary leopard mothers. Sometimes even when they're empty-bellied, a male leopard will casually lie down and spend a 24-hour period in one spot. But our mothers of young cubs, don't really have that luxury. From Karula, Shadow and Thandi, all three of them have to keep themselves moving, constantly looking to keep their little ones fed. So she knows that soon she must get up and go off in search of something to feed on. I wonder where her little cub is. She does have a tendency to keep it to the south of where we are now, on Chitwa. Last time I heard, he was hiding underneath the lodge, one of the lodge rooms, which is where he was born, apparently. She denned underneath one of the rooms of the lodge, or the decks of the lodge, which Karula's been known to do as well, apparently. These leopards become so comfortable in our presence, or in the presence of human beings, that sometimes they even utilize lodges as den sites. listening intently. Beard, absolutely, you are correct. There are less ticks and less flies up in a tree just like that. And that's one of the other reasons why at this time of year you so often find them draped in marula trees. And I mean, if you look back on the sightings that we've had, if you were to go and do some statistical analysis, which doesn't sound very exciting, of the sightings that we've had of leopards in trees versus leopards on the ground, I'm sure you'd find a far higher percentage during this time of year. Extra shade, a nice cool breeze, and you are correct. An absence of flies and ticks, which could only be considered to be an advantage, and something that I sympathize with tremendously. It's one of the big reasons why lions in certain parts of the world, or certain parts of Africa, have also not mastered to the same degree leopards have, but do spend a lot more time in trees than ours would, because there are areas where there are tsetse flies, and by climbing up into the trees it helps them to escape from those biting insects. So yes, absolutely, there's a definite connection between the two. Obviously the flies, you can see from her twitching ears, obviously the flies still make it up there, but it's not quite as bad. Big yawn, always a prelude with big cats to movement. A couple of big yawns and a couple of paw licks, and you know that the animal that you're watching is about to start on their way. Much like us when we try to get out of bed at 4:30 in the morning, as Brent, I'm sure, was describing. I don't lick my paws though. I do yawn a few times. Or, alternately, a prelude to turning round and lying down in the opposite direction. One or the other. And back to the pose that she started in at the beginning of the sunset safari. Draped across the apple leaf. I guess she decided 5 more minutes, and then she'll get up. Just 5 more minutes before it's time to go out hunting. Definitely very relaxed in her apple leaf. It's a good spot. It's a very good spot. She likes this main road a lot. I think that's actually biased, isn't it? I was going to say most of my sightings of Thandi have been on this main road, but seeing as we could only traverse this main road at one point, it was the only part that went through her territory, so of course we only saw her on this main road. That's not quite accurate. No, fly. Stop it. Perhaps I should go and climb into the tree with her. Definitely not with Thandi. She is most definitely a leopard that is not afraid to show her feelings. That tail acting as the perfect heavy balance, and it is heavy. Having had the opportunity to feel a leopard's tail before, it is very, very weighty, which makes it the perfect balancing tool, counterbalance. Okay, Thandi. Now, I don't know if her cub is here or not, so as it does start to get a little bit darker, and especially with her proximity to the hyena den, I'm probably going to leave her be. Just because now it's getting a little bit dark, the hyenas are going to start moving around again, and for all I know, her cub could be in the bushes somewhere down there. I think what we'll do now, glancing over her shoulder, what we'll do now is we will leave her be. Let her decide whether or not she's going to climb out of that branch or not. We've got a few more minutes though. It's still light enough to spend a little bit longer with her. Very happy looking cat. Sorry, while you're looking at Thandi, I'm just trying to remove the fly that just flew into my eye. Ouch. Max, Mac says, "Oh, the joys of watching a relaxed cat." A very peaceful experience, isn't it? And of course, you've got the added advantage. It's a strange thing with flat cats, because 90% of the time, that's what they do. When we're sitting with them, they're flat, sleeping, dozing, but there's that 10% of flat cat sightings where all of a sudden something happens, whether it is the sudden emergence of a different predator, a lion or wild dog or another leopard, and all of a sudden the game changes completely. And in my experience, while we've been sitting with any of our predators that have been flat, those sorts of moments happen in a heartbeat. We've had hyenas and wild dogs, we've had that one incredible sighting with Karula, then it was Tingana and Shadow that arrived, and then it was the hyena, and then it was the wild dog. Flies biting me. We've had Karula and the wild dogs before, we've had leopard and lion before, so things do tend to change in the blink of an eye. I think, though, it's starting to get a little bit dark. I just want to scan quickly. I don't think her cub is here, but I just want to scan quickly just to check and see if there's any eyes blinking back at me. Doesn't look like it. Hard to tell. I mean, if a baby elephant disappears into the long grass, you can just imagine that a tiny leopard would essentially vanish. Yeah. No sign of the little cub, and no indication that Thandi wants to move either. Apologies. Just try and recover my eyeball in tears now that the fly has taken them all. Jason, with cubs, of course, we're always very, very careful about the way in which we treat the sightings. You would have seen that with James and Shadow's cubs. Jason, by a month old, the cubs have started to practice climbing. By 2 months old, they are competent enough at climbing that's when we start to feel comfortable with visiting them or with seeing them. So between the sort of 1 to 2 month age gap is where they really start to get quite good at it. And whenever we saw Karula's cubs at that age, they were so often hidden as just tiny little spotty balls in the thin branches of trees. So by 2 months they're adequate climbers, which is essential. You can imagine that for something that tiny and vulnerable, that doesn't live in a den site all the time, so it doesn't live in something like a hyena den, doesn't have the protection of the pack or a social structure like a lion, or indeed the size and the strength of a lion, you can imagine that it's absolutely essential to those cubs' survival that they are able to climb as soon as they possibly can, because that basically takes any predator out of the equation. Then the only threat to them when they're at the top of a tree, provided they can get there and they're not taken by surprise, is a baboon. That's when baboons really become a threat to little leopard cubs. But other than that, it puts them out of the reach of all sorts of things. And also is at the point in their lives at around between 6 weeks to 8 weeks old, they've started to become a lot more aware of their surroundings. In the beginning, they're like puppies or kittens. They're kind of a bit oblivious to anything outside a very small radius. But once they get a bit older, then you start to see them recognizing larger things and stuff outside of their immediate personal space, which is essential as well. Okay, girl. I think I'm going to leave her now. It is quite dark and I don't know whether or not the cub is there, so we're going to move off. But before we do, just time for us to say a quick farewell before we begin the long journey home. So thank you to Craig and thank you to all of you for joining us. I hope you've had a marvelous time and enjoy your last few minutes with Brent.
Well, there we go, a beautiful African sunset. Now, Dave and I came to quarantine to look for the vast animals that like to go on quarantine at this time of the day. And, as you can see, you see them. You see them. You see all the animals, Dave? There are none. it's been one of those drives, but that's how it goes out here. This is live. We can't plan what happens, and of course, we had a wonderful time with Jamie, and she had lots of lovely leopards, and of course, Stef keeping us entertained on foot. But Dave and I had fun, and it was great to have you all with us, even though Dave still can't see the birds. Dave, do you see the birds? Oh, it's interesting wind picking up at the moment. I wonder if there's a cold front coming in. I hope not for the weekend. But of course, very, very exciting times. And I'm really hoping the Nkuhumas will be back. Fascinating that they killed the hyena. I wonder which clan it's from. It could either be from the Djuma clan, most likely from the Djuma clan. And if it is one of the high-ranking females, very interesting. Her daughter will have to slip into her place. So, of course, we don't know. We can't go there to see, unfortunately, but I'll try to find out as much information as possible about that and update you on the morrow. I cannot believe there's not one impala. Oh, James is requesting a bird call before I close. What bird to do?
What about the Spurfowl?
The Spurfowl. Okay, David wants me to try to do the Swainson Spurfowl. This is going to be horrible. See, Dave, that's what a bird sounds like. But okay, I'll do a proper one. Let me think. What's a good one? The cuckoo that has avoided us all on live drives, the class's cuckoo. Hopefully we'll find one before they decide to leave. From the rest of us here at Safari Live, Dave and myself, we are going to say goodbye, good night, and see you on the morrow.